Hello, Commanders fans. Today we have some hot news that you can't miss, so get ready because there's a lot of important information coming. Before we start, we'd like to take the opportunity to subscribe to the channel, activate the bell, and stay up to date with all the news about our Washington Commanders. Don't forget to leave a like, which really strengthens our community and helps bring this content to the most passionate fans of the team. Now, without further ado, let's get straight to today's news. Commanders are starting to get frustrated with contract negotiations. It's no secret that the Washington Commanders took the NFL world by storm last season. Just 1 year after a 4-13 record, the Commanders got their starting quarterback, Jayden Daniels, finished the season 12-5, and reached the NFC Championship game for the first time since the 1991-92 season. Year 2 of the new regime is expected to be just as good. But there's some bad news coming out of voluntary workouts. NFL insider Jordan Schultz reported Thursday that wide receiver Terry McLaurin is growing increasingly frustrated with the lack of progress toward a new contract. McLaurin is entering the final year of a 3-year, $68 million deal he signed ahead of the 2022-23 season. McLaurin has been one of the league's best receivers in recent seasons. He has racked up 1,000-plus receiving yards in each of the past 5 seasons. He had 13 touchdowns last season, surpassing his previous career high by 6. Washington landed a number 2 caliber receiver to pair with McLaurin in Deebo Samuel in a trade with the San Francisco 49ers this past offseason. So it's concerning that there's a possibility that McLaurin will ask for a trade and the two won't play a snap together. McLaurin's career production and consistency are what earned him his first contract extension, and that continued production and consistency should earn him a second extension and a hefty payday. He's 9th in receiving yards over the past 5 seasons, 5,460, just ahead of Jamar Chase, Mike Evans, and DK Metcalf. His impact on the Commanders' offense is unmatched, and it's no coincidence that the best season of his career coincided with the Commanders' first double-digit win season since 2012. Washington's mandatory minicamp begins June 10th, and if no deal is reached before then, it's safe to assume McLaurin will skip minicamp for the first time in his career. ESPN makes interesting trade proposal for Commanders and Trey Hendrickson. With the 2025 NFL Draft approaching, Trey Hendrickson's chances have also dimmed. The Cincinnati Bengals granted the 2024 NFL sack leader permission to seek a trade earlier this offseason, but have maintained their desire to reach a long-term deal with Hendrickson. Given their need for an edge rusher, the Washington Commanders were once seen as a top potential destination for Hendrickson. While the Bengals and Hendrickson were optimistic about a deal being reached, Hendrickson's latest comments indicate that a possible reluctance may be coming. Hendrickson has 1 year remaining on his current contract, which is worth about $28 million, significantly less than other top pass rushers. Could the Bengals, a potential Super Bowl contender, start the season by finding Hendrickson? Does Cincinnati want this to affect them for an entire season? Keeping Hendrickson would dramatically improve the Bengals' Super Bowl chances. But if they're not going to pay him his market value, then they should trade him before the season. ESPN sources recently proposed several trade scenarios for Hendrickson, including one to the Commanders. Here's Washington's Seth Walder offer to Cincinnati for Hendrickson. The Bengals are sending Hendrickson to the Commanders in exchange for Jer'Jon Newton, a 2026 third-round pick, and a 2027 seventh-round pick. Why this deal makes sense for both sides. Washington is in win-now mode, but Dorrance Armstrong is their best edge rusher. Adding Hendrickson, who posted the second-best pass rush win rate last season, 24%, would be a huge boost. Losing Newton would make a traditional defense look older, but the Commanders have solid veteran options on the interior defensive line in Darren Payne, Javon Kinlaw, and Dietrich Wise Jr., who can move inside if needed. By including Newton in the deal, the Commanders can put together a viable package without a second-round pick. They lost their 2026 second-round pick in the trade for offensive tackle Laramie Tunsil. Newton would be an interesting option for the Bengals as an immediate help. Would it be a good deal for Washington? Yes, it would be. However, would the Commanders want to part with a second-year defensive tackle who was selected in the second round of the 2024 NFL Draft? In the short term, that would be an ideal scenario for the Commanders. Steelers could trade $68 million weapon. Despite signing him to a 4-year contract 2 seasons ago, the Pittsburgh Steelers could potentially trade $68 million pass rusher Alex Highsmith this year. According to Bleacher Report, they believe the Steelers could send the linebacker in a trade, as they were open to trading George Pickens this offseason. That seems like a stretch, as Highsmith likely won't go anywhere unless the Steelers have a losing season, which is also unlikely if they have Aaron Rodgers as their signal caller. Originally selected in the 3rd round of the 2020 NFL Draft, the former Charlotte player has become one of the most productive pass rushers in the league, recording over 35 sacks, 9 forced fumbles, 7 pass breakups, and 287 total tackles. Highsmith's numbers are falling, so that could be a reason for the Steelers to consider a trade, but it shouldn't be the reason anyway, since it's better for the team to keep him. However, they do plan to extend T.J. Watt's contract, which could complicate things for Highsmith, who could want another contract in the next 2 seasons. If communication between the 2 linebackers doesn't improve, the Steelers could at least consider listening to talk about a trade for Highsmith. Watt hasn't been in trade rumors this offseason, so it's not entirely out of the question. The thing to keep in mind is that the 2 new edge rushers, Nick Herbig and 2025 draft pick Jack Sawyer, both look promising for the unit. There could be competition on defense soon, and if that happens, a trade could make sense to get some draft capital since the Steelers need to find another quarterback to embrace the rebuild. If the Steelers do trade Highsmith, these 3 teams could offer the best deals. Pittsburgh Steelers linebacker Alex Highsmith, 56, celebrates a 4th-quarter interception during NFL Game 16 between the Pittsburgh Steelers and the Cincinnati Bengals at Acrisure Stadium in Pittsburgh on Saturday. Decorn 23, 2023. The Steelers won 34-11. Rumo. Could Steelers trade $68 million top weapon Alex Highsmith? Possible destination: Washington Commanders. However, the new culture could be very appealing, and the Commanders have been buying more than selling this offseason. Even with Bobby Wagner back, he is no longer in his prime, so they need a long-term linebacker like Frankie Louvu, and he could fit in with Highsmith, who is a ball-crazy tight end. These 2 could form a dangerous defensive duo and make the Commanders one of the most explosive teams in football, which is already possible with Jaden Daniels and his offense.